Let's get more now on that breaking news in the past few minutes. Hamas says the planned release of Israeli hostages due on Saturday has been postponed until further notice. Let's cross to Jerusalem. Our Middle East correspondent, Alistair Bunkle, joins us now. This feels like it's the biggest setback so far since the ceasefire agreement started taking place, Ali, 22 days ago.
Yeah, very much so. There have been road bumps along the way that tend to have been smoothed out and sorted out by the mediators, but this definitely does seem to be the biggest threat to derail the ceasefire so far. It comes from a statement from a Hamas spokesman. Quite a lot to sort of unpack in this because it is very significant. Now, they say that, or they claim that over the last 3 weeks, and during the ceasefire, there have been repeated violations by Israel, including delaying the return of the displaced to the northern Gaza Strip. Now, that did happen, but it happened because Israel was angry at chaotic and dangerous scenes surrounding the release of 2 Israeli hostages, Arbel Yehud and Gadi Moses, when they were surrounded by hundreds, possibly thousands of Palestinians at the moment of their release. Israel was angry by that, and they delayed the withdrawal of their forces from part of the Netzrim corridor, which in turn delayed Gazans being allowed to go north. But it did resolve itself, and Gazans can now pass from south to north of Gaza. They also say they accuse Israel of targeting Gazans with shelling and gunfire. Again, this has happened, but Israel says that it has been at times when their soldiers who remain in the Gaza Strip have felt under threat from Gazans approaching them or coming near them, and they've either fired in the air or fired at them. So there have been a couple of examples of that, but Israel defends itself in that way. And Hamas also say there's been a failure to bring in relief supplies in all their forms as agreed upon. Now, I need to go and check the figures on this. I know, speaking to a very senior World Food Programme executive here a number of days ago and he had been in and out of Gaza quite regularly over the last week or two, about how the humanitarian situation is. And I think we've heard similar as well from a British official who's now senior at the United Nations, Tom Fletcher, who's currently in Gaza, saying that the risk of famine has been averted. Hundreds of trucks are getting into Gaza. Many, many more are needed, but the general impression I was getting is that actually humanitarian aid is getting in the kind of volumes that is now needed. So that would seem to undermine the Hamas claim. So put all that together, and they say that the handover of prisoners scheduled for this coming Saturday will be delayed. Now, I do think that what Donald Trump has been saying and repeatedly threatening, he did it last night again, I think in an interview with Fox News, saying that Palestinians would not be allowed to return to Gaza, and saying that America would buy Gaza and own Gaza. I think that is also playing into this statement from Hamas. They're clearly angry at that. And there's also domestic Israeli politics and pushback on there being another phase of the deal. So there's a lot wrapped up in this, but this is a particularly precarious moment for an already fragile ceasefire.
Alistair Bunkle in Jerusalem for us this afternoon. Thank you very much indeed.